Hello everyone and welcome to one of the games I decided to show from the Speed Chess Championship round of 16 to see who goes into the quarterfinals. Alexander Grischuk versus Alireza Firouzja, and this is from the 3+1 section. I went through all of the games and this is the one I thought you guys might enjoy the most to have it break down. So let's check it out. Features a very exciting opening and a very cool pause the video moment. So Grischuk has the white pieces. He opens with pawn to d4. We have knight to f6 by Alireza, pawn to c4 and e6. Sorry about that. And bishop to g5, sort of the delayed Trompovsky, or as it's actually called, the Yasser Seirawan attack. We have pawn to c5. Here, h6 and bishop to b4 check are more common, but pawn to c5 also very nice, inviting white to advance the pawn to d5. So d5 captures, and now pawn to h6, attacking the bishop, bishop f4, and pawn to g5 by Alireza. We have bishop back to c1 and bishop to g7, developing the bishop, preparing to castle kingside, knight to c3, and now a very interesting move. You could play d6 here, you could play castles here, those are the normal moves, but the top move in the position is in fact pawn to b5, and this is what Alireza plays, and you want to capture that pawn. I've found one game in the database that continued without white capturing the pawn. White actually played g3 here, but this is a recipe for disaster. It seems like, okay, maybe you can play it, but to give you an example, b4, what do you do with the knight? Knight back to b1, and after castles, bishop to g2. Of course, white wants the castle as well, but rook e8. And all of a sudden, what are you going to play? Knight f3, bishop to e6, and you're not castling. The e2 pawn is attacked. If you play e3, you're never castling, so much for that. So after b5, knight captures on b5 is the top move in the position. We have queen to a5 with check, knight back to c3 if you don't want to blunder the knight, and now knight to e4, unleashing a triple attack on that knight on c3, bishop to d2, and knight captures on c3. Okay, this has all been played before, nothing new here. Bishop captures. Sorry, this was not played before. The knight captures on b5 was actually a new move, believe it or not. But it is, seen in other openings, so nothing weird here. Knight f3, we have pawn to d6 and rook to c1. Now inviting Alireza to capture on d2 or move the bishop back to b4. He captures on d2 and Grischuk captures with knight captures on d2. We have bishop to f5, and now bishop to f5 is actually a very tricky move by Alireza. Point being that if you continue with something like g3, you want to fianchetto the bishop e4, and already you have to further ruin your pawn structure. The knight, of course, is pinned and not the best. So Grischuk goes for pawn to h4. This is by far the best move, and he's asking Alireza, what is your plan here? My next move is h captures on g5. So he plays g4, and now comes pawn to e4, inviting the capture. The knight is still pinned, but it will free up queen captures on g4. So bishop captures and queen captures on g4. You could also consider bishop to b5 check to give up the bishop for the bishop on e4, but queen captures on g4 is perfectly fine. But now comes the move from the thumbnail, the one that really made me show this game. So the queen is now threatening the bishop. What do you play here? There's no move other than king to d8. Everything other than king to d8 loses the game. So here, even if you play something like bishop captures on d5, queen g7, and this is already terrible for black. You have to move the rook, you lose the h-pawn, then the h-pawn marches forward. You cannot play it. But after king to d8, now it is very interesting. Now the bishop cannot be captured. Rook to e8 would win the white queen. So rook to h3, preparing what seems to be rook to e3. But after bishop captures on d5, Sasha continues with bishop to c4. Rook to e3 was the preferred maneuver because it also prevents rook to e8. Now Alireza goes rook to e8 with check, rook to e3, and the rook captures on e3. F captures, and now bishop to c6, just keeping the monster bishop, and you don't really care about the f7 pawn. You're just going to continue developing knight e7. The king comes to c7. The rook is nicely defended by the bishop, so everything is fine here, and the white king is still in the center of the board. King to e2 and knight to d7. We have queen to g8 with check, just king to c7, unleashing an attack on the white queen. And it seems like white is doing well. It seems like you're even pushing here. Queen captures on f7 is played, but now Alireza's position is completely winning, although it's not easy to see why. Grischuk 30 seconds on the clock, Alireza 2 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock. I'll give you 2 minutes for this pause the video moment. So feel free to pause it and win the game for Alireza. There's only one way to do it. have at it while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations by not looking one but two moves ahead. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is a rook to f8. No doubt the first move you checked, but the question is what comes afterwards. And it's all the same where you put the queen. You could capture the rook, then just down a queen. You could go to g7, you could go to e6, you could go to e7. In the game, queen to e7 was played, and now comes the move. Of course, you guys saw when you decided to play rook to f8, and that is rook all the way to f2 with check. This is what, well, maybe Grischuk missed it, maybe not, because his position was already pretty bad. But it was in this position on move 26 that Alexander Grischuk resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done. He has no other choice but to capture the rook. If you go king to e1, then queen captures, and d2 is just checkmate. And if you capture the rook, then first you lose the knight with check, and once the king moves or you block with the bishop, you also lose the rook, and now you're down a full piece. 4 pawns each, but of course completely winning for Alireza. Plus, he's much better on time. So yeah, really impressive show by both of them. They've chosen a very tricky opening. Grischuk really took the initiative after this bishop to f5 move, trying to be tricky h4, but then he chose a suboptimal plan. The idea was to go rook to e3 to stop the rook to e8, but he allowed it, and Alireza is, as you can see, 31-57 rated in Blitz, so a player of his strength will find this missed opportunity. And for those of you who are interested how the match went, the 5+1 section was won by Alireza with a score of 5.5 to 3.5. Then as the tempo got quicker, Alireza also won, but a smaller margin, 4.5 to 3.5. And then in bullet, it was equal, 3.5 to 3.5. So perhaps if the match went to hyper bullet or ultra bullet, maybe Grischuk would win, but this way Alireza wins and proceeds into the quarterfinals. That's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any other games, feel free to use hashtag suggestion, as I already have some games lined up that I really want to show. But if you guys have favorites, hashtag suggestion is the way to go. That's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Vicky Hackney, Meadow, the Super Chess Dog, Darren Little, Jerry Driver, and the Animated Chemist for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.